Hello, in this episode we are going to build a voting system. So here I have a logged in user, here's the user account, and I have a list of messages. And I can upvote or downvote any message, and it will be working without any page reload. As well, you see that the score gets updated, and the button that I click to upvote or downvote is going to stay active. So this is the kind of voting you can see on Reddit or on YouTube, where you have both a like and a dislike button. If I click like again, I just remove my vote. And we're going to do this all using the gem ActsAsVotable. That is a really great solution for voting, bookmarking, and doing different similar stuff, and it takes care of all the logic that you would then be coming up with on your own. For example, calculating the cached score, the upvotes, the downvotes, the total votes count. So all these would be calculated by the gem, and you don't have to think about this and reinvent the wheel. So we are not going to start with a blank Ruby on Rails application. We're going to start with an application where we already have installed device. So you see, I've just got an application where I have device installed. I'm logging in as a new user, and I have a list of messages. So we already have device and messages list. Now, if you still have troubles with installing device on Rails 7, then I recommend you watch my previous video where we go through troubleshooting all the device issues in a Ruby on Rails 7 application. It's not that hard. Anyway, here I've got a logged in user, and I have a list of messages, and I want to make it so that a user can like messages. How would I do it without using a gem? Well, let's have a look at our database. Let's have a look at the schema. So I have a messages table and a users table. Now I might be looking at the wrong schema. Let's see. Okay, here's this application. DB schema. So I have messages and users, and I would want to have some kind of joint table. So likes, the table could be named likes. It would have a message ID, it would have a user ID, it would have whether the user has upvoted or downvoted. So let's say upvote, that would be a boolean, and it could be either true or false. True would mean that I upvoted. So something like this. And also I would like to keep track of how many upvotes or downvotes a message has, and the total vote score. So upvote count, downvote count, total votes, and upvotes minus downvotes. So rating, something like up minus down. So I would be doing something like this. And let's see how the gem can help us do it in a better way. So here we have the gem ActsAsVotable. Let's start by installing the gem. Let's run bundle add ActsAsVotable. This will add the gem to the gem file and run bundle. You see, it's added the gem. Now I will go and say Rails generate ActsAsVotable migration. Okay, I'm doing it in the wrong console. Yes, Rails generate ActsAsVotable migration. And it has created a file in db migrate. And you see, it is the joint table that I was talking about. So the votable object is going to be the message, the voter is going to be the user, vote flag is either upvoted or downvoted, vote weight is, for example, one user can have a vote that is 5 times strong, one user can have a vote that is like 1x strong. So like different users' votes can count in different quantities. And vote scope would be, for example, you want users to be able to both like messages and bookmark messages. And instead of adding two separate joint tables, you can say that this vote is a like and this vote is a bookmark. So let's go back and continue with the installation. I will say Rails DB migrate. Okay. I will say, let's say Rails DB reset. I've already been playing something. Okay, Rails DB migrate. Okay, I've done the migration. And what's next? So I will say that the message acts as votable, meaning we can vote on the message. Let's go to our models, message.rb, and say acts as votable, meaning I can vote on this message. And the user is the voter, so here we have the voter, and it will say that the user acts as voter, so the user can vote on a message. Like this. Okay, and let's start the server once again and see if we have any messages and users. I've reset the database, so I will need to create a new user. And let's create a message. Okay, and now let's try to vote in the console. So we already have a user and a message, and we've done the basic installation of ActsAsVotable by adding ActsAsVoter to the user and ActsAsVotable to the message. Let's try to vote. Now let's go to the console, and how can we access this votes? How can we see how many votes we have in the database? And we can say ActsAsVotable vote.count, or just like vote and access the vote object. So you see we don't have any votes at the moment. And let's try to vote for a message. So let's say message equals message.first. So let's find the message. Here we have a message object, and let's find the user. User equals user.first. And let's vote on the first message. I would say message.upvote by and I would say user. And you see, a vote seems to have been created. Let's check ActsAsVotable.vote count. You see we have a vote. Let's say .first. And here we see that the first message was voted for by the first user. The vote flag is true, so we have upvoted without any scope, and the vote weight is 1. Okay, let's now try to downvote the same message by the same user. Let's say down vote by the user. Okay, I have downvoted. Let's have a look at the vote, and you see the vote flag was changed from true to false, so I have downvoted on this message. And let's try to unvote, so like remove our vote, and you see the vote has been deleted. So if I say ActsAsVotable vote.count, you see there are no votes available at the moment. So like this, through the console we managed to upvote, downvote, and unvote on a message. Now let's try to make it so that a user can actually do it by clicking a button. So let's quit the console and add a button to, let's say, upvote on a message. Let's go to our roots. We'll start with the roots so that we have a URL to vote. Let's say resources messages do, then we'll have member do. If we pass something inside the member block, it means it will require a message ID. And I will say patch upvote. Okay, now if we go to our roots, we see that we have this new path, upvote message path, and it is messages ID upvote. So we'll need to pass in the message ID. Similar to our edit path, edit message path, here we also pass in the message ID. So let's add a button. Let's go to our message partial. Where do we have it? Messages here. And here we'll add a button. Let's say equals button to upvote. We'll have the path upvote message path at message. And the method is going to be patch. So method patch. Let's have a look at the button. Here we see that the upvote button was added. Let's add just a second message. Yeah, here we have two messages and each of them has an upvote button. If we click the upvote button, nothing actually happens because we have no controller action that would respond. So we would need to add this upvote action in the messages controller. Let's go to controllers, messages controller. Here we'll have def upvote. And as we said previously, we need to find the message by the ID. So we need to set the message for this upvote action. So I will add this def upvote to the before action set message. Don't forget this. I used to forget this often in the beginning. So we'll have a message ID here, and we'll be able to upvote. Now, what did we say? How do we upvote a message? We would say add message.upvote by current user. And let's try to do some kind of redirect to add message. Let's see if this works. I click upvote, and I was redirected to the message, but I don't actually know that I have upvoted on this message. So how can I see if I have upvoted and see the votes for this message? Let's have a look. We could get something like post get upvotes dot size. Let's see if something like this works. We'll have equals add message dot get upvotes. Let's see what it gives us. Dot size. Okay, nothing. Maybe post votes for up. Something like this. So let's say message votes for up. Will this work? Oh yeah, I just forgot the equals. Sure. And let's say dot size. So we have one upvote here and no upvotes here. If I click upvote here, you see it has one upvote. Let's say upvotes. And let's also display the downvotes. So here we'll say votes for dot down size. So each message has one upvote and no downvotes. And now let's make it so that when we click the upvote button again, we actually unvote on this message. So let's go to our upvote controller, and here we will say if the current user has upvoted, then we will downvote. If the user has not upvoted, we will upvote. So we'll say if current user dot voted up on the message, then we will unvote. Or we will upvote. So else upvote. Okay, let's see if it works. I click upvote again, and you see each time I click upvote, the upvotes count changes. We either upvote or we remove our upvote. Kind of works. Let's add now a method to downvote on a message. The same way we did with upvote, let's downvote. So if current user voted down, we will unvote, else we will downvote. We'll also add downvote to the before action and add downvote to our roots. And we'll not forget to add a button to downvote. And we'll say downvote message path at message. Now let's see if it works. We have two buttons, upvote and downvote. And you see, when I click downvote, the upvote is removed. Instead of the upvote, we have a downvote. If I click downvote again, you see no upvotes, no downvotes. So it seems to be working. And this is the most basic implementation of ActsAsVotable. A next step, for example, could be making it work without a page redirect. You see, at the moment we have a full page redirect in the controller when we upvote or when we downvote. And let's try to make it work with Hotwire. So we will respond with a turbo stream. Let's say respond to do format, and we'll respond with the two formats: format HTML and format turbo stream. Now, when we respond with format HTML, we will just do the redirect to the message path. Otherwise, we'll respond with turbo stream, and here we will say render turbo stream. turbostream.replace. So we will just replace the message pass shell with itself and not have a full page redirect. Replace message, and we're going to replace it with a partial messages message and locales message at message. Let's see if it works. So now by default it will try to respond with format turbostream instead of format HTML. Let's see if it works. Now just to ensure that we don't have any page redirect, just so that we see it visually, let's also add the current time to our layout. It's a handy way to see that we don't have any page redirect. Time.zone.now, just to prove that there's no page redirect. Here's the current time. If I refresh the page, you see the time has changed, and now I'm going to press downvote. Okay. And I did have a full page redirect. So why is it? I don't want to respond with format HTML. Okay, because I clicked downvote. So let's go back. On downvote we still don't have this format turbostream. Let's click upvote. I click upvote. Okay, and I get this undefined local variable or method message. Okay, so it is at message. Let's try once again. I click upvote, and you see there is no page redirect and the upvotes count changes. Here also you see, so I can upvote without page refresh. Let's do the same for downvote. Actually, it's going to be just absolutely the same response. And let's see if it works. So I click upvote, downvote, and you see I don't have any page redirect. Now, what if you did want to have a page redirect? Well, you can just say that a specific button would respond to format HTML. Let's say we'll have a separate button, upvote and redirect. And here you could just say format HTML. Let's see how it works. I click upvote and redirect, and you see it redirects. When I just click upvote, there is no redirect. Upvote and redirect, there is a redirect. So it is a handy way for you to be able to respond with either turbostream or HTML, depending on a specific button that user presses. Looks fine, but there is still a lot of improvement that we can make. First of all, we are going to add the caching, meaning we are going to add the votes to our database, to our messages. So we'll have an attribute on our messages table. In the schema, you will be able to see it. In the messages table, where do we have our messages? We will have the upvotes count, downvotes count, and a few other handy things that are calculated by upvoting or downvoting. And it is going to increase the performance a lot, because at the moment, if we call something like votes for down size, votes for up size, it does a calculation each time. And when you refresh the page, it again does the calculation. If there are a lot of votes and if there are a lot of messages, it's going to be awful on the performance. So let's add the cached votes to posts. Let's just run a migration. Rails generate migration, add cached votes to posts. Let's have a look at the migration. It is empty now, so let's fill it. Oh, actually not posts, sorry. We have messages. So I'll delete this migration. I'll say to messages. Now I'll copy this. So the change method. I will change post to messages. And well, this is also an important thing. Here we have message find each update cached votes. So when we run the migration, we are going to automatically calculate these values for the messages that we already have in the database and the votes that we already have in the database. Otherwise, these are all going to be 0 until you change anything. Let's actually see how it would be if we didn't run this find each. Let's say Rails db migrate. And let's start the server once again. Now let's try to display each of these values, each of these attributes for a message. Let's go to our message. Let's make some kind of divider and display each of these. We would say equals add message dot cached votes total and so on. Let's have a look. So you see, these are all zeros at the moment. And if I upvote or downvote, then these are all been recalculated. And on the other model, they were not recalculated, you see. And it is cool to run this command, message find each, update cached votes, so that all the votes on all the messages are recalculated when you add this migration, if you already have some votes. I run Rails server once again, and the votes are calculated on each message. So I upvote, I downvote, and all these votes are recalculated. Now let's remove the ones that we don't really need, because there are too many. So cached votes total, it's how many votes there are. Upvotes, downvotes. Well, let's remove weighted average. Votes, total vote score. Let's leave upvotes, downvotes, score, and total votes. So fewer. And let's remove these. Okay. So we see all the upvotes, all the downvotes, the score, and total votes. Looks fine. Now let's make it so that we see the upvotes and downvotes inside the buttons. So next to the upvote text, we'll have the count of upvotes, and next to the downvote text, we'll have the count of downvotes. How can we do this? Well, actually, it would also make sense for us to change the button text. You see, I upvote, and the text hasn't changed. I want the text to be unvote, so remove the vote if I have upvoted. And also I want some special style on this upvote if I have upvoted. How can I say that I have upvoted? So let's add some logic. Now, what would it look like? It would be if current user voted up on a message, then there would be an unvote text. Let's actually move this logic to a helper. Helpers are great for abstracting this kind of logic. Let's go to our messages helper, and let's say we'll have a upvote label, and we're going to pass in a message and a user. And here we will say if user voted up on the message, then the text will be unvote, else the text will be upvote. Let's see if we can use this upvote label now. Let's go to our message, and here instead of upvote, we will have upvote label, and we pass message and current user. Let's refresh, and here you see we have upvote. If I click upvote, the text changes to unvote, so makes sense. Let's do the same kind of label for downvote. We will have downvote label, and the logic will be similar. So downvote label, if user voted down, will have unvote or downvote. Let's see if it works. So you see the label also changes based on whether the user has voted on the specific message. And yeah, let's also display the upvotes count and downvotes count inside the buttons, not here. How can we do this? Well, I would maybe say we would have a tag.span, and inside this tag we would have, let's say, we would have message cached votes down, and then we would have this conditional text, either upvote or downvote. So label text, let's say that this is the label text, and move this here, and here we will have the message cached votes down and the label text. Let's see if it works. Okay, so I click downvote, and you see the count changes here. We can do something similar for our upvote label. So again, I will add a label text. And cached votes up. And here, so the message has 0 upvotes, 0 downvotes. I click the upvote button, and the text changes, and the count also changes. So you see, this way we can abstract some logic into our helpers and not keep any view logic in the model, and not keep this logic in the view. Okay, looks quite good. Let's also change the color of the upvote and downvote if we have voted on a message. How can we do it? Well, we can just add some CSS. So for example, to each button we can add some CSS class. We would say class, or actually style. Let's add some style. And let's say color green. Let's try just adding some kind of style. Okay, the color is green. Let's add a background color. So background color green, for example. Let's make it gray. And let's add this background color gray if we have voted. So let's move this also to some conditional in our helper. Let's say label style, or upvote label style. And let's add this variable for def upvote label styles. And again, we would pass in the message and the user. And if the user has upvoted, then we will apply some styles like background color gray. Let's see if this would work. So I refresh. Okay, I didn't pass in the message and the user. I would say message and current user. Refreshing. Now I upvote, and you see I have a different CSS on this button. So we see if I have actually upvoted or not. Looks better. And we can do the same kind of styles for our downvote. Here we have our downvote. Let's just say downvote label styles. And well, it's gonna be something similar to our upvote layer label styles. User voted down on message, then the color is going to be gray. Now let's try. I upvote, I downvote, so the color is also changed based on my vote. Looks quite good. Now here's another thing I would definitely want to do. I would want to move the logic out of the controller into the model. You see, we have quite some duplication here, and this can be moved into our message model. So let's try moving the logic into our message model. How can we do that? Let's just copy this out and go to the message model and here I will have an action like def upvote, and we are going to pass in the user. We already have the message here, and let's say if current user, well, we'll say if user voted up on self, then we will not need message here. So message unvote by user, or upvote by user. So something like this should work. And now we can just pass in upvote in the controller. Let's go to the controller. Instead of having all this logic, we will just say add message dot upvote by current user. So I'm removing all this logic, and let's see if it still works. I refresh, upvote, and it works. Okay, and we can do the same for downvote. So I will move the logic again from the controller to the modal. Downvote, and in the message modal I will create def downvote by user, and again downvote by user, and self here. Okay, looks fine. So let me see the messages controller. Here we're just going to have message downvote, and I upvote, I downvote, and everything works. And our controller is already cleaner. But here again, you see, we have two control actions that respond to the same formats with the same logic. So why do we have actually two controller actions if we can have one of instead? Let's create a separate action that we would just name vote, and conditionally either upvote or downvote. Let's say vote, and go to the messages controller. Here we'll have vote, and let's combine the logic. Let's say def vote. And how will we know whether we are upvoting or downvoting? We can pass an additional param inside the button. So here we have the path, and we can add something like type upvote, and here we can add a type downvote. Now let's actually create separate buttons for our vote path. I'm not going to use these anymore. Instead, I will have button to vote 2 times, so the path is same, but we're going to say type upvote, and here I will say type downvote. So if I have a look at the HTML that was generated, here you see in the URL for the post we have type upvote or type downvote, and based on this type we can have some different logic in the controller. So we will conditionally either upvote or downvote the message. So, and we're going to have it both in this action, and we are just going to respond to the format like this. And how do we know whether we upvote or downvote? Well, we will have params type that can be either upvote or downvote. So let's say we'll have some condition case params type, and when params type is upvote, we will upvote. When params type is downvote, we will downvote. And let's have a fallback. If for some reason somebody changes it in the HTML and to something different, let's say that we don't accept anything else. So let's say else we will let's say return redirect to request.url, so to the previous path, and give an alert no such vote type. Okay, so something like this should work. If upvote, upvote, if downvote, downvote, a fallback for an error, and respond to the format. Let's see if it works. Now I click upvote, and you see it works. Downvote works. So instead of having upvote and downvote separate actions, we can just pass in a param type and possibly decrease the complexity. Looks quite good. But let's go even further. What if we want to be able to not only upvote and downvote on a message, but have something totally separate, like a bookmark? What if we want to be able to also bookmark a message? Well, that's where you would like to have this attribute. Let me show which one. Schema. The vote scope. So you see, at the moment, all our messages don't have any vote scope, all our votes. And let's add a vote scope named bookmark. And we'll be able to not only upvote or downvote, but also bookmark our messages. And we'll not have to create a separate table. We already have our votes. So how are we going to do it? Let's say, let's go to our message model, and let's add a method named bookmark, def bookmark by user. And how would it work? So we will be able to either add to bookmarks or remove from bookmarks. And again, we will be able to unvote or upvote, but we're going to add a scope here. So let's add vote scope bookmark. We're going to add the vote scope here, here, and here. Okay, and let's try to, well, bookmark a message in the console. Let's start the Rails console. Let's say user equals user.first, message equals message.first, and let's say message dot bookmark by user. And you see something was created. Let's have a look at all our votes. Acts as votable, vote.count. Okay, let's say .all. And here you see we have one vote that is a regular vote and one vote with a scope of bookmark. So we have added a bookmark. Now let's click bookmark once again, message bookmark user, and I think this will be deleted. So again, let's see, we have just one vote left. So we have added or removed something from a bookmark. And let's quit and add bookmarks to our routes and make it so that a user can bookmark in the views also. Let's add patch bookmark. We will now add bookmark inside our controller. Messages controller will be able to bookmark. Let's add the def bookmark, and again we'll have the same kind of response. Let's add message.bookmark, and let's add a button to bookmark. Let's go to our message partial, and let's first of all see if the current message is bookmarked by a user. How can we do that? How did we do it in our messages helper? We had if user voted up on message. We have some kind of text. So let's say equal. Let's say if user voted up on message, vote scope bookmark. Then we will have a text of saying bookmarked. Yeah, we have current user. So, well, nothing is bookmarked at the moment. Let's add a button to bookmark. So, else we will have button to text will be bookmark message path, no params type, no style for now. Okay, and here we have a bookmark text. I refresh and draw number of arguments. Why is it so? Bookmark message path. What am I missing? So let's have a look at the controller. Oh yeah, I forgot to pass the current user. Let's see if it works. So I click bookmark and you see it says, yeah, it is bookmarked. So we'll be able to either bookmark or unbookmark. Let's say not bookmarked. And we'll always have this text to bookmark. So you see, each time I click bookmark, it says bookmarked or not bookmarked. But you see the votes keep changing. Why is it so? I don't want them to keep changing. Why is it so? Let's see. So I will remove the bookmark. I upvote. There is one upvote. I bookmark. There are two upvotes. Okay, so you see, it calculates the scoped votes together with the unscoped votes. And that's why it would make a lot of sense for us if we already have some kind of scoped votes on a model, not to have unscoped. So we would need to remove our cached votes and instead of cached votes have scoped. Where do we have them? Scoped votes. So we're going to redo quite a lot of logic because we want to also add bookmarks and want to have the calculations working correctly. What are we going to do? Let's add. Let's start by adding a vote scope on our upvotes and downvotes. So here I will say vote scope will be like, and like. The same here. Now, as it's not a production application, I think I can remove all the votes that I already have in the registered in the application. Let's go to the console. Acts as votable, vote.count, let's say dot delete vote.delete all. That's fine. And here's the problem. We're going to remove cached votes from messages, and instead of cached votes, we're going to have cached scope like votes and cached scoped bookmark votes separately so that the calculations work correctly, because we want to be able not only like posts or messages but also bookmark messages. So how do we do it? Let's run a migration, Rails generate migration, and we're going to remove cached votes from messages. Remove cached votes from messages. And let's take all these columns, go to the migration and say remove column on the table messages, and the column name will be cached votes and so on. Let's run the migration, Rails DB migrate. Okay, let's have a look at the schema. So we've removed all these cached votes, and now we're going to add the cached scoped like votes to posts and cached scoped bookmark votes. So instead we will say Rails generate migration, add the cached scoped like votes to messages. And we're going to also add cache scoped bookmark votes to messages. And let's copy these columns that we're going to add. Change table messages. And we are going to add the cached scoped. So I will replace the word subscribe with the word like. And I'm going to do something similar in the second migration where we are adding our bookmarks. I will change the word like to the word bookmark. And now I will run Rails db migrate. And let's have a look at our schema. So you see we've added a real lot of fields, but as long as we want to keep data about all the calculations of our bookmarks and our likes, we would want to have them. Of course, possibly you would want to remove the downvotes, the downvote attribute from our bookmarks, because we're not going to be using it, we're going to be only using upvotes, but that's fine for now. So let's start the server once again and have a look. Okay, we don't have cached votes up anymore. Instead of cached votes up, we have cached scoped like votes up. Let's go to messages and cached scoped like votes up, like votes down. Instead of cached weighted score, we have cached weighted like score, and instead of cached weighted total, we have cached weighted like total. Okay, let's have a look. Oh yeah, we should also update it in our helpers. So let's go to our messages helper, cached votes up and down. Okay, and now let's see if it works. So I upvote, I bookmark, and you see the bookmarks are not being calculated into the upvotes. I downvote and it also works. So you see, this way we can have our bookmarks and our likes in the same table, and it will work with good performance. Okay, what else would we want to do? Possibly you would want to order the messages by the top voted. So let's say we will have this one with the score -1 and this one with the score 1. So you would like to order the messages by their score. To do this, you would just go to our messages controller, and here instead of message all, you would have message.order, and you would say cached weighted like score descending. So the top voted ones are always going to be on top. Let's try to change it. So the second message will now be on the bottom. Refresh, yeah. So the top voted message is always on top now. And one more thing. What if we want to display a list of messages that a user has upvoted on or downvoted on, or the messages that a user did not vote on? Well, we can do it by, let's say, just getting a collection. We would have something like current user dot find voted items. So we would have a collection of elements that a user has voted for. We can, in the same fashion, find the upvoted items and downvoted items. So here you see we have 3 collections. But in our case, when we are voting on messages and when we have bookmarks and likes separately, we would like something more detailed. So we would want to say something like current user find voted. So find voted for class. We are going to specify that find only the messages that we have voted on. So message, and we'll add a vote scope like. Let's have a look. Okay, maybe it is class. Okay, it is find votes for class. And here we see this is going to be a collection, let's say dot count, for example. So we see that the user has liked 2 messages. Let's remove our likes. Now it is 0, you see. And in similar ways, we can find upvotes and downvotes. And you would have 3 collections that you can display, for example, on the user's page. Well, it was quite a long episode, but I think it was really worth it because we went through each and every bit of using the gem ActsAsVotable. You see, now we can both bookmark and upvote, downvote, unvote our messages. It works with either page refresh or no page refresh, depending on what you like. We can order messages. We can get a collection of messages that a user upvoted down on or downvoted on. So that's about it. I hope you managed to make it so far. Please comment if you did. I really wonder how many people have watched till the end. And well, see you in the next episode. Thanks for being with me. Goodbye.